Even as Nigeria battles with security challenges, a former Foreign Affairs Minister, Professor Bolaji Akinyemi, is calling on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to suspend the Armed Forces Act 2004, mandating soldiers to retire at 60 or after 35 years in service. It described the law as a colonial policy that should be discarded in the face of the current security challenges. The former minister said in a statement that President Tinubu should also declare a state of emergency nationwide and set up a military tribunal for the trial of insurgents and their collaborators. For more on this, Professor Bolaji Akinyemi joins us now on The Morning Show. Good morning, Prof. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. Good morning, Ayo, and good morning, Vimbai. I finally got it right.
Yes.
Thank you for inviting.
Morning, Prof. Well, very quickly.
Thank you for inviting me. Yeah.
Sir, in your statement, well, I agree with 2 points that you made. The need for large-scale recruitment to expand the Nigerian armed forces. The soldiers that are there now, they are overstretched. They've been brought into the civil aid, to ensure security in every part of the country. They are overworked. They are, overstretched. So perhaps we need to address the issue of size. I agree with that. Now, you also made the point that those who have retired under the Armed Forces Act in the last 6 months should be recalled. Many of them that are 60 or have spent 35 years in service, they're still very capable. They're still very strong. It's only in Nigeria that you throw away people. Even academics in the US can continue to teach even till 90, as long as their walking stick is still carrying them. It's about knowledge. It's about competence. I agree. Where I think there is a problem and where you may need to offer us clarification is in your advocacy for military tribunals. Why military tribunals in a civilian dispensation? And then you also said, state of emergency in states where terrorists are giving problems and that a military administration should be put in place. Isn't there a contradiction there? We're running a democracy. And yes, on 2 of your points, you are pushing for military involvement in civilian administration. Can you clarify that, sir?
Well, thank you very much. Yes, Dr. Abati, thank you. First of all, let me say that I am motivated to make these suggestions in order to head off any practical moves by Trump. I want him to be persuaded that the Nigerian administration is taking practical steps to address the problems that we have and that we are not just talking. That is my motivation. Now, as regards the issue of contradiction, that's why I brought up the issue of what did you call it now? That we should have please remind me what was
military
the word
tribunal, state of emergency, military administration.
Thank you. That's why I said we should have state of emergency, because I am quite aware that we cannot have military tribunal if we are running a democracy. But a situation where all over the country, these terrorists are running amok. Recall, and you were in government at that time, they only started as Boko Haram in one corner of the Northeast. And by the time you left office, you have succeeded in driving them away from the local governments that they occupied, which was fine. But now, they're just not in Northeast, they're in Northwest, they're in Middle Belt, and now they've gone to Kwara and Kogi. And the boundary of Kwara is with Oyo State, is with Ekiti State. When do you then want to come to a conclusion that actually they have overrun the whole of the country? And that then means that we need to come up with a measure that will address the fact that they have overrun this country. It cannot be done by simply debating in the National Assembly. So we do need to come up then with a measure. And that measure is a state of emergency. And with a state of emergency, it allows the government to do things which it cannot do when you just have the National Assembly. Number one, it allows you not to just use the normal judicial system where you have to appeal for bail, you have to move a motion here, a motion there, and what have you. You could have a military tribunal which allows you to deal with the situation in a way expeditiously. And it allows you also to bring in this measure of it allows you to come up with the measure of the penalty that you can then impose, and then they will know you are serious. It also allows you to actually deport them from Nigeria, because these are not Nigerians, and you know it and we know it. So really this is why I came up with what you will regard as propositions which on the surface may look like, they are anti-democratic. But we need to look at what the United States does when it faces situations like this. Apart from the normal judicial system that you have, they then go to Guantanamo Bay, where they have military tribunals to deal with terrorists. I think we've come to that stage in Nigeria where we need to deal with these terrorists in a way that shows we are serious. May I also say something, which I hope that, Arise will investigate this issue that's happened in Kebbi, where all of a sudden all the girls are back within 7 days. We had it under Buhari, when again girls were kidnapped in a school, and I think it's within 48 hours, all those girls came back except that Christian girl who is still within their custody. So is this a play on the same game? Are we playing the same game? No, I would like to know just what happened that these girls could be back within 7 days.
Thank you so much, Sal. We all want to know, because it seems like this administration has been able to find a solution to, rescuing abducted students, girls and boys in a way that previous administrations have not been able to do, and doing it without any arrest or bloodletting. It's a case that must be studied and we must investigate. But let me ask you, based on your submission, you talk about in the period of a state of emergency, that constitutional immunity of governors should be removed, and that any governor under whose jurisdiction terrorist groups operate freely and with impunity can be held accountable. I ask you this morning, Professor Akinyemi, are you of the opinion that there's some governors, or at least political actors, who are working with the bandits, with the terrorists, and know where they are or know how they operate, and are still governing states at the moment? Because if you make this recommendation, perhaps you might know that some people know what is really going on, especially where terrorism thrives in this state.
Well, yes. I depend on the news that you provide. And you see terrorists openly with their guns coming into the city to have weddings, to have birthday celebrations. They are entertained by government officials. And you then ask yourself, if the press knows and can show us this, you want to tell me that the governor, who is the chief security officer of the state, does not know that terrorists are operating in his state? And I think it's only when a governor knows that there is a penalty to pay for allowing these people to come into his territory that he would then not encourage it. It's either he cannot control the state anymore, or he's actually... Remember something that the late lamented Abacha said, that if there is an insurrection that lasts more than 24 hours, government must know something about it. Well, all I'm saying is, if terrorists can come openly carrying weapons into your territory, and they are entertained by officials, and they go back, and they are not arrested and nothing happens, then the governor must know something about it. Now, what can we do? And that's why I'm suggesting that under a state of emergency, then actually you can strip the governor of his immunity, and that allows him also to be prosecuted for whatever is going on. We must take these things seriously, what is happening. And we must persuade President Trump that we are taking it seriously, that we don't need his own boots on the ground. I thank Dr. Abati for reminding us that I said that we should even bring back people who have retired. Since I made that suggestion, those who are in the know have said it may create problem of this security and who takes orders from who. So probably we should put that aside. But we should stop the whole idea of asking people to retire after they've done 35 years or they're 60, then they must retire. This is not the time for retirement. We need more boots on the ground. We need massive recruitment of both the police and the military until this crisis is over.
Okay, Prof. Just before
Okay.
comes in.
Okay, Professor. Okay, sure.
Just before By comes in, that under Section 308, we deals with the immunity. You still have to amend that section of the Constitution. The president cannot just come and say, oh, we're suspending the immunity of a government. And under Section 305, which talks about declaration of state of emergency, there is nothing in that section, I insist, that says that the president of Nigeria can remove a sitting governor. So there will be those legal issues with those recommendations. Vimbai.
And Dr. Abati, I thank you so much for highlighting that, because it almost preludes into my question to our learned professor, sir, which is that, I just heard you quoting Sani Abacha. There's, language from you is, this morning is almost that militarization, or a higher level of militarization is the solution. Do you feel that our democratic institutions have failed, or have you lost hope in the prospect of our democratic institutions being able to resolve this? I say this because, for example, yesterday the House of Reps were trying to create legislation around how to curb some of these things, criminalizing government officials who negotiate ransom for one. Also those who create unstructured amnesty deals. Even the concept of amnesty itself was being debated. Some might say, well, these are the channels that we should follow as a democratic nation. Are we not backsliding by saying that in this moment we should, backbench our democratic institutions and let the military lead us through this trying time?
No, I'm not trying to militarize something that shouldn't be. In a situation where the most powerful man in the world threatens you with his own troops, his own boots on the ground in your country in order to address a situation that he feels you are not addressing, then in a way, the devil is at the door knocking, and we don't want that devil to come in. And to that extent, we ourselves need to address that issue by having our own troops, our own boots on the ground. And we also must come up with measures that will show that we are taking these things seriously. For how many years have we been dealing with, the terror in Nigeria? And it keeps expanding. It keeps expanding. Then I ask myself, if you are using the same measure to address the same crisis, and you are not getting the result you want, then you've got to readdress the way and manner in which you are dealing with it. But I do accept that perhaps the way in which I have couched things makes it look like it is emphasis on the military. But then it is the military you can use to deal with terrorists, not your usual judicial system, not the usual debates that you have in the National Assembly, which we have tried, I don't know for how many years. And I do concede to Dr. Abati that under the sections he has quoted dealing with a state of emergency, there are things that are not spelled out that you can do. But in a situation of crisis, perhaps you can read. After all, yesterday I understand that President Tinubu has just now asked the Air Force to now start bombing these areas, forests, where these people may be garrisoned and so on. So in a way, he has anti the use of the Air Force. And we will simply have to deal with terrorists in a way in which other countries are also dealing with terrorists. You don't deal with terrorists by appealing to them, negotiating with them, bribing them, only for them to come back. They make this money, and as somebody has said, they use the money that you've paid them to go and buy more weapons. I'm sorry, I think we've gone past that stage where it's non-kinetic, the famous word that is being used now, that is being used to address this situation. We simply have to take it seriously. Okay. But please let me repeat, my motive is to head off Trump from sending his own troops into Nigeria by we showing him that we are deadly serious about what we intend to do.
Okay, Prof. Well, very good. Well said. But two quick questions. One, I mean, you've issued a statement. The papers have reported the statement. You are on television. Have you made an effort to communicate directly with the system, that's the federal government, to put its ideas forward? Because if you assume they will pick it up from the media, nothing may happen. You just have been talking. However, the second point is, what's your assessment of the trip to the U.S. by National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu and others? Because you've been mentioning Trump not sending boots on the ground. Do you think that the Nigerian government has been able to, cool things down diplomatically, even if the focus was on security and defense, not diplomacy?
Let me answer your second question first. I think that some progress has been made. But when you are dealing with President Trump, you simply cannot be certain over a 24-hour period what he will do. And to that extent, I think we need to continue to put that positive pressure on him. Sending a mission to the U.S. was a right step. Whether the delegation, the way it was constituted, was designed to get maximum result is another issue entirely. But it's been done. They've met some of the people that, said they need to meet, and some of the readouts that we are starting to get show some positive elements. But what I would like to hear is President Trump saying, I am persuaded that Nigeria is now doing the right thing, and then he can go back and face Russia, face Gaza, and face all the other places where his attention is needed. As regards your first question, I've had feedbacks that should I not have been talking directly to the president rather than speaking to him through the press. And my reaction has been, I was not only talking to Nigeria, I was also talking to Trump. I was also talking to the United States in the sense of letting them know that we are serious about addressing this issue. If I talk on the phone to our president alone, the second leg of who I'm talking to, really, I wouldn't achieve that. So there is some method to my madness, if you let me put it that way.
All right, very, very quickly as we wrap up, Professor Akinyemi, beyond the military response, which other stakeholder ought to be involved when we talk about engaging, for instance, community leaders, some members of traditional leaders and religious leaders who would come in together to work with the military to fight insecurity? Very briefly, and as an overview, beyond the governors, how would you assess President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's handling of insecurity in Nigeria currently? Has he taken the best approach?
Yes. In the last few days, the steps that he has taken, the cancellation of his trips to South Africa and Angola, that has been a good measure. The almost constant meeting with his security apparatus, his security forces, the specificity of the actions that is being taken and taken publicly. All these are good measures to show, to say that I am now focused on issues I should be focused upon. That is, to me, good measures that he has taken. There is more engagement that is needed with the traditional rulers, with the priests and imams that they need to talk to, who need to talk to their people. You know, we've got to be careful. And this is addressing the elite in this country. When you talk about Christians being killed, Muslims leaders tend to think that it's an attack on them, whereas it's not an attack on them. But then maybe we will rephrase it to say Nigerians are being killed. We don't want Nigerians to be killed. And anyone, any religion that is responsible for the killing of any Nigerian deserve the maximum punishment, which is again why I
Professor, if I may just button.
Yeah.
Let me just button. Okay, I'd just like to button as we round up as briefly as you can, please, sir. You know, there's been a lot of emphasis about, you know, dissuading Donald Trump to put boots on the ground. Now, one analysis says that by us agreeing to collaborating through intelligence sharing, given the history of how intelligence sharing is done in the Sahel with the United States by use of ISR, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, that this in essence is a concession to boots on the ground. For example, what we saw in Niger in 2017, it was a reconnaissance mission that was ambushed with US troops. So some are saying that intelligence sharing with the United States and between the United States and Nigeria is impossible without boots on the ground. What's your take on this as we round up?
No, I wouldn't sign on to that. In these days where you have what do you call this Zoom thing that you use, satellites. Oh no, technologically you can gather a lot of intelligence which you will then share without having boots on the ground. I think that, you know, it was a mistake on the part of the United States to have gone on that intelligence gathering mission, which then led them to being ambushed. We've got to be careful in the manner that we cooperate with the United States, that we do not complicate even our own intelligence operations. So I think that we can have that intelligence cooperation without having boots on the ground. But then that's my take. I'm not really I'm not a soldier, I'm not an officer. There are other people, but you see, when people like me raise these issues, we are trying to draw their attention to it, not that we are dictating to them.
All right. Well, thank you very much. As always, yeah, fair enough. Drawing the attention and lending your voice to the ongoing conversation. Thank you so much for being with us this morning, Professor Bolaji Akinyemi.